Question 5. The database. Open the 5 Art World database, which contains details of artists and paintings. So we'll always enable content, and we'll start with 5.1. Open the table paintings table in design view. Right-click design view. 5.1.1. Change the format of the painting field so that the text displays in capital letters. So for that, we need to change the format and insert a greater than sign. And then all the text in that field will automatically change to uppercase. 5.1.2. Change the field properties of the year painted field so that the field accepts a year from 1494 to 1970. Appropriate validation text is inserted. All right, so the year painted needs to be from 1494 to 1970. All right, so personally, the easiest way for me would be to say between 1494 and 1970. Okay. And I can see this, the data type is a number. So I'm not working with dates where I would actually have to specify the day and the month as well. So I'm just working with a number, so I'm working with a whole year. You could do that, or you could say greater than or equal to 1494 and less than or equal to 1970. Now the validation text has to actually mention the range. So the year has to be between 1494 and 1970. If you had just said sorry, wrong value or something like that in the validation text, you would not get your mark. The validation text has to actually refer to the values in the rule. That's very important. 5.1.3. Create an input mask on the ID field to ensure that the user inserts a painting ID in the following format. The letters IMP followed by any compulsory character or space. Now let's refer to our input mask character sheet that we get. Now I've got a screenshot of it. You have it at the end of this paper anyway, but this is basically what it is. All right, so our input mask character sheet. So the second bit, so it's IMP, the actual letters, then followed by any compulsory character or space. So any character or a space that is compulsory will be an AND sign. Do you see? Any character or a space. Then followed by a compulsory number in the range 0 to 9. So that will be a 0 because a digit is 0 to 9. That is compulsory because entry required is compulsory. And then followed by 2 optional numbers. An optional number is a 9-digit or space, entry not required. So that is optional. Okay, so let's go insert that. So this is for the ID field. Please make sure that you put it on the correct field. If you put it on the wrong field, even if you do it 100% correct, you do not get a single mark. So it's IMP, the AND sign 0 and 99. 5.1.4. Insert a new field called area and as the last field and do the following. Change the data type of the area field so that it will store the calculation of the area of the painting. Insert the calculation for the area field, height times width. Right, so new field called area. The data type needs to be a calculation, and the calculation is height times width. So you see in the middle here, I have access to all the fields. I can just double click on them to be able to use them. And then I just type my operators as normal on my numpad or on my keyboard. And you see I didn't use an equal sign or anything like that. And I just say, okay. Now I don't actually know if there is any data here. Let's see. Yes, there is data, so you can actually go check. Yes, it did work it out correctly, and the painting name has been converted to capital letters. You can go and test the year painting, but actually you shouldn't waste your time doing that. 5.1.5. So now we had to change the table paintings table to datasheet view. Ensure that the age field displays in datasheet view. So you'll see you can't find the age field over here. Let's just right click on anything and you'll see there's something called hide field. So unhide. There you go, age. Okay, their age is now unhidden. So I didn't have to know where it was. I just was able to unhide from any other field. Save and close the table. 5.2. Open the Form 5.2 form, which is based on the table artist table in design view. Add the 5-girl image found in your examination folder to the form header. Ensure that the image stretches to the size of the image box. So we go here. I don't like using this insert image control because this doesn't always allow all the formats of images. So this one is better. Image. Okay, so I use this one. Click and drag. 5-girl. Now we go to property sheet. And you'll see here, size mode mustn't be zoom, it has to change to stretch. Then you'll see it actually stretches in this box. That's what they're talking about in that section there. Stretches to the size of the image box. Next, shade the background of the detail section with a light green color. So this is the detail section. Right click, fill, light green, be one of these, I think. Now you'll see if I hover over it, it actually doesn't give me a name. So in this instance, I can choose it visually. Then add the option Poor to the list of items in the rating field combo box. So property sheet, data tab. At the moment it's excellent, good, average, and let's add poor as the next item. There you go. Save and close the form. 5.3. Open the query 5.3 query in design view. Modify the query so that it displays the total number of paintings created by male artists per birth country on the birth country field as shown below. All right. So the moment you get a screenshot like this, you know immediately that it's an aggregate query. You can see this from the headings: birth country, gender, sum of number of paintings. And you'll see the actual field name is only number of paintings. This is the aggregate function that was actually done on it. There was a sum done on it. That's how I know how to interpret this screenshot. All right. So let's go open that up. Query 5.3. They already gave us the correct fields. Do you see the field name is number of paintings? So I need to switch on the totals command from the design view, and then I can choose sum. Now, if I switch to my design view or my datasheet view, if I switch to my datasheet view now, you'll see the name has changed. Sum of number of paintings. Do you see? Okay, and then I just need to change the gender to male only. So I put in a criteria under gender for male. There you go. Save and close this query. 5.4. Open the query 5.4 query in design view. Change the criteria so that the query displays the records of paintings where the ID field is 6 or more characters long and the place field has no data. Right-click, Design View, and let's see what we've got. Okay, it doesn't actually work. So let's take out the criteria that they've given us and see if we can do this ourselves. So let's start off with the place that should not have any data. To get the place that does not have any data, we do this. We say the place should be is null. Is null gives us records where this field is empty. You see? All right. Next up, the ID field where there are 6 or more characters could have been done in one of two ways. Now, to get you get more than one kind of wildcard. A wildcard can either be a star, which means any characters or any number of characters or no characters at all. Or you can use a question mark, which actually means one specific character. So if you do this, you say like, and in your inverted commas, with 6 question marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with a star at the end. That would mean it has to be 6 characters long, and after that there could be more, but there doesn't have to be more characters. And then it would actually give us the characters where they, or the records where there are IDs of 6 characters or more. That's the one way of doing it. Personally, I find it easier to actually use the function len. Len gives us the number of characters. Okay, so len, open bracket, which field are we testing? The ID field. Double click on that so that it gives you the square brackets for the ID field. The length of the ID should be greater than or equal to 6. Personally, I find that much easier. Let's try. There you go. Now save and close. And I just want to show you this. When I open this again, it looks different. It actually moved the len ID to a new column like this. Okay. 5.5. Open the query 5.5 query in design view. Add a calculated field called diff to determine the difference between the for field and the against field. Let's first do that, and then we can do the second instruction. All right. Now, the easiest way to actually do this is to use your builder. I'm not going to put a field name in. We do that afterwards. So we just say it's for minus against. Okay. And then the name of the field is expression automatically. And then I can change the name of the field to diff. All right. If you're more comfortable with doing it the way you taught, you can, or the way you usually do it, because I know most teachers, me included, used to always just do it that I just type it in normally, where I type in the field name with a semicolon with the 2 fields. I just recently learned about the builder and I find it much easier now. So the different for minus against, let's see if that worked out correctly. Yes, it seems that more of them are positive than negative. So That's correct. Okay, now let's see what the second part of that question is. Display only artists whose nationality is not French or American. Now, let's go see. So the nationality must not be French, and it must not be American. All right. Now, I don't have time to go into this for a long lesson, but if you actually put in or, you would still have ended up with lots of Frenchmen and lots of Americans, because then it would just have done one test. It would have given you all the Americans because they're not French, and it would have given you all the Frenchmen because they're not Americans. And you couldn't have just specified not once. You had to specify not twice, because not is basically like the operator. It's like saying greater than or less than. So you have to actually specify this twice. So it's important to actually go see that you get the correct results here. All right. Save and close. 5.6. Create a report called report 5_6, which is based on the table artists table to appear as shown in the extract of the report below. Group the report according to the year the artist was born and the country of birth. Ensure that the born field is grouped per year. Insert a function to determine the total number of artists per country per year. All right, let's go try that. So we need to create it based on the table artist. So I just first click on that, don't have to open it. Create a report wizard. Okay, now let's just quickly see which fields we need again. So we need born, birth country, artist name, and artist surname. Born, birth country, artist name, and artist surname. Next, we need to group it by born. Next. Do you see automatically it does a born by year, but we have to change it to born by, or it does born by month. We have to change it to born by year. So we go to grouping options and we change the grouping intervals to born by year. Okay. Next, they didn't mention any sorting. Next. Next, what title? RPT 5_6. Finish. Okay. So you'll see, oh no, I was supposed to group it on the birth country field as well. Let's just, I can actually add it now. So I'm going to go to my layout view. In my layout view, if I add group on birth now, it will move it up. There you go. So it actually moves it into the grouping field like that. There you go. You see it did that. Completely forgot. Yes, so now it's grouped on both. Okay, now did you see that the result actually still keeps the born field, even though I'm just supposed to have born by year, not the born full date as well, if I look at the screenshot. So I'm going to remove this field. They didn't penalize you if you kept it, but you actually don't need it. And I'm just going to move this one up a bit. Okay, now, this is just me being perfectionistic. I don't actually need to move this. Now, we need to add a function. Let's just see the question again. Insert a function to determine the total number of artists per country per year. So you'll see it shows under France there are 2 for 1824. So I'm going to do that for the birth country. Now in this instance, because of the screenshot, it actually looks like it's specifically in the footer. So I'm going to add a footer for the group on birth country, more, with a footer section. And I'm going to use the text box and then I say equals count star. Star counts all the records, and I don't need a description. Okay, let's see if that looks approximately like the example. Yes, that example just didn't have a frame around it, so I'm just going to go to format and take the outline away, transparent. Okay, now for the marking, let me just tell you what actually counted marks. They did not subtract a mark if you didn't take the border away. They actually gave you marks if you put this calculation in the header for the birth country. You didn't have to put it in the footer. And they didn't subtract a mark if you left the born, the extra born field there. Okay. I just want to show you one more trick. If you didn't know that it was supposed to be, or you didn't know how to add the count function, and you didn't even know how to add the group footer, you could also do this. Now this is tricky because you have to do it either in the group header or in the detail section. If you click on a field and you use totals, you can actually go and count the records from here. And if this is a numeric field, something like, let's see if born by here will do it. No, it won't. If this is a numeric field like the number of paintings, it will actually give you average and min and max and sum everything else as well as a possibility. And the moment you click that, it automatically adds this function. The only issue I have with this is that it adds it everywhere. Do you see? It adds it to the birth country footer, to the born footer, and even to the report footer. Now, at the moment, the way the marking is done currently, you are not penalized for this if it is everywhere. So if you want to risk it, you can leave it like this. But if you know for a fact that it should be in birth country's footer, then please take it away from the rest and maybe just actually take this whole section away. And then that way you can be a bit more safe, you can be safer and you can be sure of your mark. Okay, but in the end, you get the same end result. All right, and that is access. So save and close your report.